Welcome viewers, this is ITV and my name is Charles Water. Today I'm featuring the Minister of Federal Affairs, Republic of South Sudan, Honorable Losuba Ludoru Wongo, and he is going to talk to us about a number of issues regarding the federal system of governance here in the country. He's going to talk to us more about the federal policy and then also the strategic plan of the ministry that's for 2022-2025. So, Honorable Minister, nice having you on ITV Radio. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much, Maruto.
Yeah, so I understand that this week the Council of Ministers, the extraordinary Council of Ministers, passed two important documents regarding your ministry. Talk to us more about the federal policy. What's this document all about?
Well, thank you so much for coming to the ministry and to have this conversation in regards to the documents that were passed on Wednesday on the extraordinary Council of Ministers meeting. The Ministry of Federal Affairs is one of the key ministries in the revitalized agreement on the resolution of the conflict in the Republic of South Sudan. And it has a specific mandate and a task to accomplish within the time period of the agreement. So its critical mandate is to ensure the implementation, the initiation and implementation of the federal system of governance in the Republic of South Sudan. And this has to be realized in the permanent constitution. So the ministry, since its establishment, based on the agreement which was signed in 2015, and it was just, that paved way for the establishment of the ministry in 2016. A lot of activities went through and all that, but then we did not get a policy document for the ministry. So this is a great milestone for the ministry to have its federal policy passed by the cabinet, and also a strategic plan to realize the principles that are articulated in the federal policy. So it was a great opportunity.
Yes. So briefly, talk to me. What's there in this federal policy? What does this policy talks about?
The policy actually articulates the principal direction of the federal system that South Sudan is going to adapt in the constitution. The policy actually states, for example, the principles like the principle of cooperative system of federal system. It also brought out the principle of complementarity. It also bring out the principles of how the vertical arrangements in the federal system will look like, and then the horizontal arrangements in the federal system will look like, and based on the realities of the South Sudanese people. And it also highlight the principles of federalism, which are devolution of administrative powers from different levels of government. And then also the second thing also is the devolution of political organization and arrangement within the federal system. And then finally, it also articulates clearly the physical aspect of federation in terms of resources distribution at different levels of government. So the policy is very comprehensive, and also finally, after articulating the key principles, it brought out the whole management, how to realize these principles. So at the end, the policy state clearly the implementing mechanism, and this I just can elaborate to you that at the level of the presidency, it's very important because the President of the Republic will give the strategic direction in terms of guidance on how the federal system will be established. And then the Ministry of Federal Affairs will be the coordinating institution with the relevant institutions which are already existing. And then with other actors like civil society and the other agents that are supporting the government, and then also the system of governments that are existing. Also the parliament, the legislature, the judiciary, all these are the implementing agents that are crucial, and they are clearly stipulated in the policy.
Now, Honorable, you earlier said that the policy talks about this, about a cooperative system of governance. Does it mean that's what South Sudan is driving to adopt this kind of system of governance?
There have been a lot of consultations and a lot of meetings and a lot of visits that the ministry conducted, and the couple of workshops that are conducted within the different states in South Sudan. We also studied systems. Other other countries have more, for example, ethnic federal arrangements and all that, and that has always been a challenge. And I think the agreement made it very clear. If you look into the revitalized agreement, it stated very clear that we needed a federal system that suit the realities of the people of South Sudan. So for that reason, we're looking at the principle that bring South Sudanese together, other than dividing South Sudanese in terms of ethnic or tribal differences and all that. So among many different division of powers and responsibilities within the federal system, the principle of cooperation is very important. So the cooperative principle came out very strongly. That is one thing that unites the people of South Sudan, and it also reinforces the element of complementarity, so that people, different levels of government can complement each other in terms of service delivered to the lower levels of government.
And then what of the part of vertical and even horizontal system? So how is that going to work?
It is something which already the people of South Sudan are experiencing. You know, one has to find this reality that the current constitution is a decentralized constitution that recognizes the decentralization of system. The decentralized system of government that we have actually has set a fundamental framework, a basis for us to implement a very perfect and very good federal system of government. With the current decentralization, you find that we already have the national government with its parliament, legislature, and then we have the judiciary, and then also the executive. And then when you go to the states, also the second level, which is the states, and then the states also have the executive and then the legislature, which functions. And then you go to the lower levels of government, we have the councillors, and then we have the administration under the commissioners and all that. So you see, that level already exists. So we actually, in the federal system, what we're going to do is trying to build on what we have. We are not going to bring something new, but then to build on what we have and then transition the country smoothly to a fully fledged federal system of government that the people of South Sudan will realize in terms of now how different levels of government have their powers in terms of administration, in terms of how they use their resources, and then how they also organize politically in order to achieve the really needed services at the level of the population.
How is the transition going to be? Is it going to be through a referendum? Which kind of process, method are you going to do in order to transition the country from this current system of governance to a federal system of governance, in case if it happens?
Yeah, it's just going to happen. That one, we don't have actually another way out of that. It is going to happen. What happened is that the Ministry of Federal Affairs is currently given them the fact that we have the policy framework with the ministry, and then we have now the federal policy and the strategic plan. It now, the ministries will move towards getting all the data that we have collected from examining countries that are federal, and then also the views of the people of South Sudan from different states, And then we shall be developing a blueprint which will articulate the structural arrangement within the federal system, how it will look like. And we are actually planning to have what I refer to as a national conference on federalism that will bring participants from all the states and the administrative areas that we're going to discuss this blueprint. Now, that blueprint will give guidance to the constitutional making body in terms of what is needed as far as federal system is concerned in the constitution.
When do you intend to do this national conference?
No, we are actually planning right now. It will be very soon. We actually wanted it as fast as possible. Now that we have the document passed, so we are actually planning to have it very soon. Mm-hmm. So after this, we are going to converge a couple of meetings and all that, so that we decide on probably which month we are going to have it. And we wanted it actually very soon.
And then what does the roadmap say regarding some of your activities?
The roadmap is not something that different the way some people have thought in the beginning. The roadmap is just saying that we need to implement the agreement. Mm-hmm. So the roadmap is not an alternative to the agreement.
I'm talking in the part of matrix that there are some, let me put it in a simple way, that it's having timetable of what is supposed to be done, when and what time. So what does this roadmap says? Maybe do you have any specific task by the roadmap that this is what you are supposed to accomplish within this period of time? Do you have this?
The roadmap, if you look critically, we go to the activities and all that. I did not stipulate specifically about a federal system or something like that, but then to stipulate the constitution, the constitutional making process, and the dates and all that needed until the national, what they call the General Assembly and all that, to promulgate the constitution of the republic. Now there's that process. Now the federal system, if you look into chapter 6 of the agreement very clearly, how the constitution making process is going to be, there is the element of federal establishment within the constitution. So while if you go through the document of the roadmap, you don't find specifically one of the activities, but it's within the constitution because it is the constitutional mandate. Yeah, so you realize that it's a constitutional mandate that the Minister of Federal Affairs should be able to contribute to ensure that we have a federal constitution.
Now, when are we going to transition the country into federal system?
When the constitution is promulgated. The constitution.
You mean at the end of the transitional period? When exactly?
Yeah, when the constitution will be federal. So when the constitution is federal, the next government will be completely a federal system of government.
So how is it going to be? Is it like creating more states? What exactly is this federal system is going to look like?
Federal system is not about a number of states, and the federal system is not about the issue of people and all that. Federal system is about a clear division of power between different levels of government. Mm-hmm. So let us say, whether you have 10 states, whether you have 20 states, whether you have 32, whatever states and all that, does not qualify you a federal system of government. But then the federal system of government comes in when you separate powers clearly at what they call at the level of the federal government. What are the powers that are left for the federal government in the constitution, and then what are the powers that are left at state level, and then for our case, of course, we have 3 levels of government. That is also the local level of government. Now, there are 3 areas that the federal system looks at it very critically. One is administrative powers, and then second is the political powers, and then third is the fiscal powers. How are these one articulated clearly in the constitution? And it has to be enshrined in the constitution very clearly. Now, after that, and then there will be some bills which can be later becomes laws and all that acts, and that will now stipulate the details of how the federal system will be operating. The whole government system will be operating within the federal structure. Mm-hmm. So there's not going to be a stop where we have this and then we move to another system of government, but it'll be a smooth one because the constitution, after the elections, we shall have a new constitution. So the new constitution, the operation of the new constitution will be federal. So you will see that the states will be managing themselves in a federal system. They will have powers. The governors or the commissioners will have their powers in terms of how they can execute their responsibilities and the demands.
Okay, in that particular area, is it going to be like the president will not have power to remove the commissioner or to remove the governor, something like that?
Absolutely not. The president will not remove now the governor, or neither remove the commissioner, because in the federal system, the people will be the one to bring the president, and then will be the one to bring the governors, and then the commissioners, and also the legislative arms from the different 3 levels of government. So with the federal system, it will not be there. It will not be there. It will be the people, and then the people will hold their leaders accountable. So that is the direction that we are moving towards.
Now, Honorable, your area said that you have your team have visited many African countries. So can you tell us which African countries do you think South Sudan can embrace their federal system of governance? I know you have visited Nigeria, you have visited Ethiopia, even South Africa. So which African country do you think South Sudan can embrace their federal system of governance?
Well, thank you. We had a very good opportunity to visit countries that practice federal systems, like Nigeria. Ethiopia is one of the countries, and also we went to South Africa. South Africa has a strong constitutional democracy, and although it is not a federal system per se, it practices a more federal system that you can see in its functions, the government functions. So, but then we learned a lot from there, and in Nigeria is fully a federal system, and we learned their system, and then the most important thing was to learn the challenges that they face in terms of implementing the federal system, and that was specifically our task as a ministry, because we wanted to avoid those challenges that some of the countries that are implementing the system actually have. So, in terms of South Sudan, the agreement on the resolution of the conflict is very clear. It says that we need to adapt a federal system relevant to the people of South Sudan. So what we are going to do, we are not plucking a system from any of these countries and then just say, okay, this is what we are going to get from Nigeria, we put it in South Sudan. No, because the realities are different, because the political setup, the ethnic setup, and then the social economic setup of these countries differ from South Sudan. So what we're trying to do is that we learn from how they implemented their system, and then the challenges they face in terms of the socio-economic organization, and then we're going to bring that into South Sudan, and we will look at it, and then we see what can fit to us. For example,
now, for example, what's the difference between the political setup of South Sudan and that of Nigeria? What's the major difference?
And the major difference is that in South Sudan we have a decentralized system whereby powers are delegated to the lower levels of government, to the states, and then to the counties, and then they can be removed anytime. That's why here in South Sudan, still the president of the republic has the power to remove the governors, can be able to appoint a governor, can remove members of parliament, or can even remove a commissioner and then appoint. But that is decentralized, because in the decentralized system of government, powers are delegated and then they can be removed. They can be removed any time. But then in the federal system of government like Nigeria, you cannot, as a leader, as a president, you cannot actually remove the governor. The governor is elected by the people. The commissioner is elected by the people. Whatever. Of course, each country has its own naming, whether commissioner or governor and all that. So this is the fundamental difference. And that's why the people of South Sudan are moving towards that direction, whereby the people will hold their leaders accountable. And so that we reduce the hectic challenges that actually come to the leadership, to our president, because every time you appoint a governor, the following day many groups of people would be coming to the president to say, that's not the right person, we needed another one and all that. So this headache
Now-
will go away with the
Now,
implementation of
what,
system of government.
now, Honorable Minister, you have done so many consultations here in the country. What are South Sudanese saying about this federal system of governance that we are moving towards?
The people of South Sudan embrace it very well, and when I presented my paper in the governance forum and all that, we didn't see any objection. We didn't see any one objection saying we don't want a federal system. It was not there at all, and even the people embraced, because it is not about people. You know, there's misconception about the word federal to some people, and some people, as I said always, there are individuals who have benefited from a unitary system of government, whereby every resources and power are centralized. So these individuals will go around to confuse the people, the population, saying, you know, federal system is going to divide the people. But it's not true. Federal system does not divide. Actually, federal system in all these countries help to hold countries together. And you look at what we actually made in our in the policy document. We say that our federal policy, we have a catch, which we say holding this policy will be holding together, helping us to hold together for a stronger union in this country. So this misconception, we wanted to bring it down, and that's why after when we will go and have our national conference on federalism, we shall be still going. We wanted to now embark on educating the people so that some of this misconception go away.
One of the fear, Honorable Minister, with this federal system of governance, as you put it, is you earlier talked about the evolution of administrations. Now, if we can take the example of what happened during the SATA-2 states, after the creation of SATA-2 states, where the civil servants were supposed to go to the states where they fall under. And then taking these examples, there was some confusions. Others were willing to go, others were not willing to go. So now, in such situation, what does the policy say to address some of these challenges in case if we adopt a federal system of governance? Is some of this issue going to happen in the future?
That is very interesting, because what you are saying, actually, I heard about what was happening during the creation of the 28 and then 32 states, where there were a lot of animosity and a lot of disagreement among people and all that. It did not happen only that time. It actually happened in 1983 as well, when there was this decentralization system which was promulgated by the president of the Republic of Sudan that time. It was Jafar Nimeri. It also happened the same, where people now divide and say, you know, you go to your place where you come from and all that. So there is a misconception about that. There is a misconception. Federal system is not about number of states, and I have to be very clear on that. And I've always said that federal system is not about number of states. Some people have misconceived federalism as creating states, creating counties and all that. It's not. It's not about that. So in our policy, we have made clear that we need to federate the country within the 10 states which are existing right now, because we do not see any much what we call boundary problems within the 10 states and all that. We do not see much and all that. But of course, we are doing studies, we are moving through the process, but we federate within that. And then so that people see the difference. It's not a number of, because if you create states, if you start creating states, and then we get into all this, and people say, no, I have to get into this. And then, you know, the issue of the creation of states goes with ethnic federalization. Yeah, ethnic.
So that
we don't want that. We don't want to ethnicize the people of South Sudan. No, yeah, we don't want to get into that.
So it's not in the policy.
The policy, no, it is not there. We wanted to define federal system in such a way that people understand that it is a system of government that actually devolve powers. And then, if you wanted states, there'll be mechanism. There's going to be mechanism whereby the people can decide you can create your own states and all that, but then you have to meet certain criteria. So that is basically the direction that the policy try to put forward.
But is there anything like when we'll be approaching to transition the country into federalism, maybe people can have vote like a kind of a referendum?
You know, I would really wanted that. But unfortunately, we are bound with respect to the rule of law. So we are law abiding. So we respect the agreement, which is why we are here. And according to the agreement, there's no option of referendum. So for that reason, I cannot do it, or there's no way that can be done. But of course, the most important thing is to know that there was already a national dialogue that was initiated earlier, and people discussed a lot about different aspects of the problems that caused conflict in South Sudan. And then even they talk about the governance system and all that. And then if you look into the report, you realize that the national dialogue actually zeroed on the fact that we actually needed a federal system of government. So it gives us the now responsibility to do more research and then get the type, the model of a federal arrangement that we need in South Sudan. That's what we are doing as a Minister of Federal Affairs.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. What's your final message to South Sudanese?
South Sudanese should be able to embrace this system of government because it is the one that unites the people, not in terms of tribal basis, but is a system that devolves powers and resources to the lower constituent units, and it will give the people the power to hold us as leaders accountable. And that is very important. And that's what the people of South Sudan have been dreaming for since the Sudan got independence. And then even when we got independence, we still dream that we wanted a government that's accountable to the people, and the people hold the government accountable.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that was the Minister of Federal Affairs, Losuba Ludoru, speaking to me exclusively about the federal system of governance. And then we talked much about federal policy that was passed this week by the Council of Ministers. We also talked about the strategic plan 2022-2025. So thank you so much for watching. I've been with you, Charles Wote.